The last year's been so hard for so many people, especially in terms of working environment. Loads of people have either been furloughed the full time or some people have been working throughout the whole pandemic. In this documentary, I talked to two people from the polar opposite sides. One of them has worked the full time and one of them has virtually not worked any of it, being on furlough. I asked both of my interviewees questions about the pandemic and how it's affected them individually. These topics range from mental health to hobbies that they've managed to pick up in the last year. The first question I asked them both was about work life and how the pandemic's affected them, considering one of them wasn't working at all and one of them worked through the whole pandemic. The first person I interviewed was Jennifer. Jennifer is a 21-year-old from Glasgow and she's been working throughout the whole pandemic.
I was unemployed for a few months because it was really hard to find another job, like with everything that was going on and how everything had been like shut down basically. So when I found the job that I've got now at Morrison's, it was quite difficult to like kind of like settle in, like with all of the new changes and stuff, with all of like social distancing and things like that. But I'm glad that I worked through most of it, because if I was sat at home, I think it would have been a lot worse.
So you say that, so you get kind of two sides of the spectrum, where you get people that weren't working at all, and then people that were working, and I worked obviously through it as well, and like you got people going, oh, at least I had something to do, and you're like, you were in your house, like,
yeah.
So like did that at the start, especially when like you didn't think when you thought it was in the last 8 weeks, 4 weeks, and you all have had. So how did it feel then when people said it, and then how do you feel about that now?
Well, I think at first, because when I was working at Boots, so it was like some people got sent home and some people didn't. So like obviously when some people got sent home, you could feel yourself being a bit like, oh, why is that not me? Like we did think it was not going to be for that long at all. So I was a bit like, oh, I love how I'm the one that got chose to work through this. Like, and I was a bit annoyed. And then obviously it went on for a good couple of months, and I was offered to take furlough, and I didn't take it because I thought I wasn't sure how long it was going to go on for, and I didn't want to sit in my house like for I don't know how long. So I'm glad that I chose to stay on working.
I then interviewed Fiona. Fiona is a 51-year-old woman from Glasgow and she hasn't worked at all throughout the pandemic.
Cool. So how has it been not working throughout the whole lockdown for the last year, basically?
It's been all right. It's had its highs and lows, but in general, it's been all right. I've been quite happy. Yeah, everything's been okay.
At the start, did you feel like it was more like, oh, this is great, and then as the months have just kind of progressed, it's got harder?
I wouldn't say it's got harder overall. I would say there's been highs and lows. So I guess at the beginning you couldn't see anybody, and that seemed kind of a bit bizarre and unreal, but things opened up a wee bit. So initially I couldn't even see my partner, but then when they created the bubbles, I was able to do that. And he lives down in Balloch, so that kind of kept me busy going down there and spend a couple of days there. So over the summer then we were able to travel a wee bit. So I travelled a wee bit within Scotland, probably did things and travelled to places I kind of wouldn't really have normally done. I'd have been away abroad somewhere, so it made me do different things. And then I suppose over Christmas then there was a bit more of a lockdown, but I wasn't bothered about that because I've got an underlying health condition, so I was quite happy to be off and to be able to stay home and keep myself to myself and not see anybody. And the weather wasn't that great, so it wasn't so bad queuing and going for a bit of a walk and things like that. So all in all, it's been fine for me.
The whole country's mental health has been impacted negatively in the last year. I asked these two individuals how it impacted them.
So then how would you say the last year in the work kind of environment has affected your mental health?
I'm not sure, because it's been a bit of up and down. Obviously at first I was a bit like, right, just get on with things, just continue working. And then when they kept extending lockdown, like that's when I started to struggle a bit, because I was working full time and obviously I wasn't getting to see anyone other than my mum and dad. So it was a bit hard, because obviously couldn't do anything. I was just working, coming home, working, coming home, and I found myself like missing people loads, and that's when it started to really affect me. And especially within my work, like because there was like customers coming in and they were themselves stressed and getting agitated, so they'd be really like rude to you,
Mhm.
and then it just made you sit and think like, I don't want to be coming to work and getting like abuse off customers
Yeah.
to then go home and sit in my room and not have anyone really to like comfort you basically. So that was quite hard, but yeah.
Mhm. So obviously like, everyone in the country, like the mental health in the last year has been negatively affected. How would you say it's been for you, especially with not working at all?
I've actually been all right with it. I didn't have any health issues in that concern before, and I'm actually a bit of a self-starter, so I've managed to keep myself motivated and keep myself busy. I'm quite a positive person, and I can put myself to mind to tasks and keep myself busy and keep myself going. So I would say it hasn't. There was times, I suppose, when I was quite scared, like a wee bit frightened, but I just kind of kicked myself, picked myself back up again and got on with it. So I wouldn't say it's had any negative effect on my mental health. No, in that respect, I've been really fortunate.
I then asked my interviewees about hobbies that they might have picked up during lockdown and if they've helped them throughout the process.
Just finally, have you found any hobbies or like activities that have like helped you throughout the last year?
Well, for the first couple of months, no, I didn't really do anything, and then I realised that I wasn't really. I was going to have to start doing something because lockdown wasn't really going away. So I started doing like yoga just in my living room, and that's been helping. Like just putting on YouTube thingies like on the TV. That's been good, but and colouring, I colour just to like de-stress and stuff. Get those like adult colouring books. But yeah, but no, nothing else.
Yeah. And then just finally, because you've had so much free time in the last year, have you found that any hobbies that have helped you to like pass the time, or like old hobbies that you kind of got back into?
Well, I keep myself busy with running and cycling and walking and things anyway, but I've been able to do a good bit more of that. So I have found new cycle routes that I've never would have found before. I'm trying to do things I've not done for a long time, I'd have thought about doing. I have been doing a wee bit of volunteer work, which I would never have done before. So that kind of helps lift the spirits. I have never done 1,000-piece jigsaws, but now I've done quite a lot of them. So, but I'm a reader and things anyway. So, yeah, I've kept myself busy. I've climbed a Monroe, which I probably wouldn't have got round to, but so yeah,
After talking to both my interviewees, it's clear to see how the pandemic has affected everybody differently. Although these are just two individuals, I believe that a lot of the country will be feeling the same way as both Flora and Jennifer. Hopefully now, with the vaccine rollout in full swing, we'll be able to get back to normality soon enough. I'd like to thank both my interviews for sharing their stories today, and a big thank you for watching this documentary.